Yeah, I mean, the crime is just the excuse. It's just the starting thing. It's like, and it's not even, the crime isn't really the point of the book. I mean, it's just, I tell pretty quickly who the shooter was. It's not a mystery. But it's to show the impact of like one bullet on so many lives. And it was a way, I wanted to create an investigation. So a criminal investigation is a very orderly process. And I'm working against a landscape that has so many different cultures that have nothing to do with each other, that the only thing that would seem to make sense and not feel like a stretch is a chronological, orderly investigation. New York is very provincial. It's villages, you know, and it's people tend to live in a visual village. Woody Allen sees what Woody Allen wants to see. Spike Lee sees what Spike Lee wants to see. Martin Scorsese sees what he wants to see, and I see what I want to see. I'm not interested in upper middle class New York. I'm not interested in the solid black ghetto of parts of Brooklyn. I'm interested in an area that is like Istanbul, because it's like east and west, and, you know, everything is swirling around, and this way people have of ignoring each other, yet occupying the same physical space, yet they don't see each other. The Chinese don't see the Dominicans don't see the Orthodox Jews don't see the yuppies don't see the police don't see the restaurant owners. Nobody sees anybody unless something happens, and it's usually something bad and unexpected. And that's what gets the headline, and that's where people have to start seeing each other for temporarily. And then after the headlines die down, they go back to ignoring each other. I like to let people write their own stories. You know, I've always written a lot of dialogue, but now I write less dialogue. It just takes up more of the book, because I just feel like people have a way of explaining themselves that if I can get the right tone, I don't have to describe all that much. I mean, everything now is more narrow. I usually write books 200 pages longer than that, and I don't do that anymore because I don't feel like I need all that anymore. You know, if I can get precise, I don't want to over-explain. I don't want to become redundant. I don't want to have people go on and on and on. You know, get in, get out. You know, each book you learn something about writing, and I always look back on my books, and all I can see is the mistakes I made, the over-explaining, the unnecessary, and I just want to continue just getting finer tune. My assumption is that a lot's going to get lost because even Americans can't understand what I'm writing. So it's going to be more difficult for someone whose first language is not American. And I will get questions from my translators. You know, sometimes there'll be like 5 pages of what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this expression mean? I mean, it's very idiomatic, you know, and it's very provincial. So I just hope that the story itself is big enough to transcend the provincialness of the characters and the provincialness of the language. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of families are broken. I mean, Yolanda's family is a separate entity from her life. Her job is her primary thing. The policeman, Matt, their partner, Matty, his family is hundreds of miles away, and he's glad for it. And so all these sort of like refugees form their own family. So it's a family by default. I mean, Tristan, the kid who did the shooting, I mean, he's like something out of a frightening fairy tale with evil step-parents and stuff, you know. Yeah, I didn't think about that before, but yeah, it's about how people come to. At the same time, it's about people in groups because it's the police are a group, the kids in the projects are a group. You know, the whole white subculture of the Lower East Side is a group. But in terms of mothers and fathers and children, yeah, it's all broken up.
Cinema industry. I mean, we all see Hollywood movies, but we don't see movies from Chile. And we are talking about globalization.
Yeah.
And there's just one source of.
Well, that comes down to economics. If a lot of world cinema is based on government patronage, you know, a lot of countries you can't make a film without government financial aid. And so that limits the number of films that are going to get made. And there's no capitalism involved because the bad thing about Americans, I mean, I find that in smaller countries, I go there to talk about film, and I always feel like, well, you Danish people, you make great films. I'm so sorry, we just make Avatar, you know. And they go, we want to get the hell out of here. We don't want to make Danish films anymore because we can't stand waiting online for our next government payout. We want to sell out. I mean, not necessarily sell out meaning make bad movies, but we need competition. We need an environment in which studios are going to fight for. They're going to want to buy our talents. We want access to movie stars. We want global distribution. As long as the governments control film production, it's just a bureaucracy. We need a little ugliness, you know. And then, you know, then most Americans, they look at most studio products, and, you know, if you got half a brain, you want to hide. You're so embarrassed. But it's about, yeah, I mean, maybe the digital, you know, like you can download something from Chile or Uruguay or wherever, you know, that'll happen. But, you know, in terms of import, it's the same thing. I don't know. I just feel like America is set up to be the worst and the best at the same time in getting their product out. But because the product is so big, it's got to be safe. It's got to be bland. It can't be intimate. It's got to appeal to the maximal number of people. The smaller the film, the less pressure there is to do anything obvious and broad. And that's the devil's payoff.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. But you're based in Madrid?
No, in Madrid.
In Madrid.
Barcelona.
Where am I?